Ja, hallo, Michael Adams hier für Stock-Telegraph. Ich habe mal wieder das Vergnügen, einen CEO-Roaster abzuhalten. Diesmal als Unterstützung habe ich den Kai Hoffman vom Investor-Magazin. Übrigens unbedingt lesen. Ich lese es auch und finde es sehr gut gemacht. Es ist ein wesentlich breiteres Angebot oder wesentlich mehr Aktien, die sie besprechen, als jetzt zum Beispiel Stock-Telegraph. Also da geht es teilweise auch um DAX-Werte, MDAX-Werte. Also der Kai hat wesentlich mehr Ahnung als ich, will ich damit sagen. Heute haben wir zu Gast Avrupa Minerals. Die beobachte ich ja jetzt bereits seit mindestens einem halben Jahr. Ich hatte auch schon ein paar Videointerviews gemacht. Eins mit dem Mark Brown auf der Edelmetallmesse in München und dann, glaube ich, mit dem Paul Kuhn ein ganz kurzes in Vancouver oder auf der PDAC. Müssten Sie mal schauen. Avrupa ist eine TSX Venture notiert unter dem Symbol AVU und in Frankfurt ist das die WKN A1JJQM. Schreibe ich Ihnen aber auch alles nochmal hier unten rein. Und ja, das Frankfurter Symbol, das liebe ich besonders, das ist nämlich 8 AM, also 8 AM, 8 Uhr morgens. So, Kai, hast du noch kurz was zu sagen?
Ja, nö, freue mich auch. Kenne Paul, Mark eigentlich auch schon noch viel länger als du eigentlich. Ich habe Paul, boah, wann war das? Paul, when did we meet? It was like October 2013 or something, or 2014.
Probably 13, huh?
Ja, auf dem Projekt von Blackheath getroffen, einem Joint Venture
Ah,
Partner,
Yes.
über den wir nachher noch
right.
sprechen. Also wir kennen uns schon eine Weile und ich treffe Mark auch regelmäßig, wenn ich in Vancouver bin.
Okay.
Und das ist natürlich schön, dass wir jetzt hier auch nochmal Ihnen die Sache auf Europa nochmal näher bringen können.
Prima.
Ansonsten, ja, ich bin
Okay.
Chefredakteur, Herausgeber vom Investor Magazin, ganz kurz noch zu mir. Das Investor Magazin gibt es mittlerweile seit fast 4 Jahren. Wir sind eine kostenlose Publikation aktuell und freuen uns natürlich über jeden Abonnenten, der uns liest, der Feedback gibt und natürlich auch mit uns erfolgreich ist.
Prima. In diesem Sinne wünsche ich Ihnen viel Spaß jetzt bei dem CEO-Roaster mit Avrupa Minerals. Thanks, guys, for taking the time. I know it's a little bit stressful, and some of your projects are in Portugal, and it's a really, I think, a busy day in Portugal because the national team is playing Iceland today in a couple of hours. But anyway, so thanks for taking the time. And as I said in my introduction, yeah, both of us, Kai and myself, we're familiar with Avrupa for a couple of years, or at least 1 year, and we did already a couple of video interviews. Yeah, I did one with you, Mark, in Munich at the Edelmetallmesse, and I did two quick ones with Paul, I think, in Vancouver in January, and a quick update at the PDAC. But a lot of things happened since then, after I spoke with Paul, and this is why I invited you guys to really run us through the presentation. Let's try to really explain the business model of Avrupa to the audience, because it's kind of, I wouldn't say unique, but you have a unique niche, right? You have a prospect generator model which is focused in Europe. You have precious metals on the one hand, but you also have base metals, tungsten on the other hand. So and a bunch of projects, right? And when we just talk about that, I got confused, right, with all these various projects. So what I would like to do is, Paul, maybe if you just start with a presentation, and then Kai and myself will just ask a couple of questions in between.
Mark, do you want to start off with it?
Sure. I'll flip the page here onto our wonderful disclaimer. And this is a great summary page of our company. We're a prospect generator company, and exploration business is a very risky business, and we've had great success over the last few years. Made 2 discoveries thanks to Paul and his team. And we mitigate that exploration risk by having great people working in fantastic countries that are mining friendly. And we get joint venture partners, and our joint venture partners have funded over $15 million of exploration so far in our short 6-year life. We've actually only raised publicly $10 million, and that's all Canadian figures. So we've done very well. We also keep our share structure tight. We have several significant shareholders that support us and back us and participate in most of our financings. And so these are different ways we mitigate the risk and try and get the real goal is to make money for our shareholders and be successful in exploration, and that translates into making money for our shareholders, getting the share price higher, and building our market cap. And a big discovery can do that. I think you guys all saw Reservoir Minerals and what's happened to them. We're in Kosovo. They're just across the border in Serbia. That's a great example of how a company can be extremely successful doing following the model that they and us both follow.
Okay.
So I'll flip over. Here's where our projects are. A lot of people don't think of Europe as a great mining place, but there's some countries in Europe that have a very, very long history of mining. Not only that, the countries are economically challenged these days, to say the least. So they really want us in there to make discoveries, the early stage exploration, and eventually build mines. So if we can use this little pointer here, we have one small project in Germany. It's a gold tin project. We've made a discovery down here in Little Kosovo. It looks small, but it's one of our biggest and best projects down there. We just actually put out a 43101 compliant gold resource estimate, which I'll talk more about in a bit. And here in Portugal, we have several projects, and Portugal is really the main focus for the company. In northern Portugal, we have a 43101 compliant tungsten resource estimate in one of our joint ventures there. And in southern Portugal, where our main projects are, and Paul can talk more about this, but we have one significant joint venture there called the AVU joint venture. And in that area, we've made a discovery over 1.8 kilometers of a copper lead zinc project.
Okay, Mark, I know it's difficult probably, but what's the main focus? You said that the main focus is Portugal actually, but Portugal is base metals and tungsten, yeah, which I'm not too familiar, but I think the prices are not that good right now. While you have the precious metals in the Kosovo, yeah, and also when correct me if I'm wrong, but on the last results that you guys released from the Kosovo project, you got some really good traction in the stock market, right? So is it maybe the right time to focus more on the Slivovo project?
On the gold, yeah. We're doing a PEA on that project right now. I'll flip ahead here a couple of slides to answer that question, actually.
Okay.
So that Slivovo project. Here's Kosovo, talking about why we're in Kosovo. You know, Kosovo is a brand new country, and we made a significant discovery there. There has not been a lot of exploration there. Paul can talk about the details of that a bit more, but here's what's happened in our Slivovo joint venture. We've signed an option agreement with a partner in 2014, and the partner is a big Australian mining company, so a very good partner to have. In 2014, later that year, which is incredible by Paul and his group, we made a significant discovery. I'm just going to flip ahead to show you that first drill hole we hit there. If I can put the pointer on here, hole number 4, so our 4th hole, which is pretty unusual. You know, exploration usually don't hit anything until, you know, your 10th or 20th or sometimes 80th hole. But we drilled from surface and we hit 126 meters of 6.2 grams per ton gold, 15 grams silver. So that's what you're talking about, Michael. That was one of our first holes in 2014. We followed that up several other holes across this nice.
Oh, we lost him.
Well,
okay, yeah, maybe. Oh no, there's a thunderstorm right now here in Cologne. I'm not sure about the weather in Vancouver, but maybe Paul, you can just pick it up and.
well, to continue Mark's comments about the Slivovo thing. Yeah, we were in the first year of our work there. We made a discovery on the 4th hole. And by the time we finished our drilling in the fall of 2015, we'd outlined an area that had continuous mineralization, gold and silver mineralization, in such a way that we could actually put a resource together. So at that point, our partner had spent 2 million euros on the project and had earned into the project 75%, I believe. And they took over as the operator. So although we are, how should I say it, we're not making a lot of news on that one right now. Our partner has been hard at it this spring and have already spent over 650,000 euros moving the project ahead towards a PEA. So we're quietly moving ahead, and we'll have a news release updating the progress at Slivovo sometime in the next 5 to 7 days, something like that. But the partner has drilled a number of holes for hydrogeological work. They're planning some metallurgical test drilling. There's a bit of exploration drilling going on. We've started an environmental baseline study, a social baseline study. Basically, they seem to be in it for the long term, meaning they want to get this pre-feasibility done and mining license application completed perhaps by the end of this year or the first quarter of next year. And at that point, when they've completed all of that, they'll have earned another 5% of the property. So there's not much we can do in Kosovo ourselves right now. The team is fully seconded to the joint venture entity. They're doing only joint venture work at the moment. So there's nothing new planned in Kosovo other than keeping the Slovovo project moving forward, making it, putting it into a pre-feasibility and presumably adding ounces of both gold and silver to the project.
Okay. Two quick questions. And Mark, welcome back. If you can hear me. Okay, we can't hear you right now. Anyway, Paul.
Yeah, we have some bad weather here. I don't know what the problem is.
Yeah, it's the same over here. We have a thunderstorm here in Cologne. Anyway, Paul, two quick questions. Is it typical that your joint venture partner is the operator on the project? And second, can you give us a little bit more information about Burncut, because the other joint venture partners, Colt and Blackheath, I think they're known in Germany, but is Burncut a public company or is it a private company?
Burncut is a private company. It's part of the Thyssen Group, which you should know quite well. It's a private German mining company.
Oh, and it's owned by Thyssen.
Yeah.
Oh, I wasn't aware of that.
I didn't know that.
I wasn't aware of that too.
I can't tell you which branch of the group of the family business it is, but it's not the Thyssen-Krupp business side. It's just the Thyssen business. And Burncut is their major business. They build underground mines. They operate underground mines. This is maybe their first foray into surface open pit mining. They're working on 5 continents right now. They're a well-known mining contractor and have a lot of money. They're private, so they're not too worried about the vagaries of the stock market and seem to be moving ahead quite well right now.
Okay. So that's actually your biggest joint venture partner, right? Even if it's a private company, because Blackheath and Colt, they're both like small and micro cap companies, right?
Yes,
and they're both
that's correct.
And they're both public. And as all of us know, the last couple of years have been very, very challenging, especially to raise money. Yeah, so to move the projects forward. So just coming back to the second part of my question. So is this the model that you are the non-operating part of the joint venture, or?
We're not miners. We're explorers. We're really good at what we do. As Mark said, we've made 2 discoveries in the last couple of years. So we get to a point in the joint venture where we want the partner to take over.
Okay.
In Slovovo case, obvious as they're miners, they know how to build mines. They know how to do all this stuff. Where that's not our specialty or our strength.
Okay.
So
Paul.
One quick thing, Kai. Typically, we do a joint venture. It starts off at a 51% level, and we operate to that level. In all of the cases so far, our partner has not, until Colt, has not been operating by themselves in the area where the joint venture is, so they've asked us to continue. So typically, we've gone to 51%, and in Colt we're at 60%, and we're still operating. Blackheath, they're at 75%, and we're operating. But Burncut, the time for Burncut to start the operation was after the first 2 legs, and they are the operator, and we're happy about that.
Okay, just quickly about the joint venture. Can you summarize like the milestones they have to hit to get to certain percentages? I might have missed that earlier. And can you give me some more geological details, like what kind of what type of project is it, and have you done any metallurgical testing yet?
Okay, the project is an earn-in, and they had to spend let's see, 2 million euros to get what was it, 75%, Mark? It's not on.
No, he's gone again.
I can't remember if it's 75. I think it's 75%. They spent 2 million euros. At that point, they became the operator, and to get to 85%, they have to produce a pre-feasibility study.
Okay, so they're at 75% right now?
They're at 75% right
okay.
now. To get to the next step, to finish the pre-feasibility and the mining license application, they'll get 85%. So they'll get an additional 10%.
No, but to feasibility, that's nice. So it's usually
it's
cost for studies and stuff.
It's a small project right now, but it's looking like it'll increase in size as we keep moving forward. As an explorationist, I would like to have put more exploration money into the ground this year, but they're really keen on getting started with a small mine as fast as possible. So they're limiting the exploration work right now to basics for pre-feasibility and spending more time on stuff like the metallurgy and the hydrogeology and ground control
yep.
and rock mechanics and that sort of stuff.
Yeah, of course.
So all
yep.
those sorts of things they are doing right now. They have not completed the metallurgy. They've started the work on it. They've sent quite a few samples into the lab already. There's going to be a number of drill holes in the next month or two, specifically for met testing.
Yep.
So the things that need to be done are getting done. The social stuff is getting done. The environmental baseline has already been, all that work has been started. So they're really doing a pre-feasibility. And along with it, according to Kosovo mining laws, we've got to make an application for a mining license by the middle of next year, 2017. Okay. So we're rushing it a little bit because we want to get it done and maintain our license structure over there. We've had to reduce the size of the license. In addition to the pre-feasibility, Kai, we're also getting a long ways towards the mining license application for the same period of time. So we're getting a bit of a bonus here. Burncut, the needs for pre-feasibility and the needs for mining license application are pretty much overlapping. So Burncut's doing both at the same time. So they're moving ahead quickly. Like I said, they've already spent 650,000 plus euros since the first of the year, and we've drilled a few holes. We've done quite a bit of work. I can't say much about it because they're the operator, and I have to rely on what they're telling me to some extent.
Sure. What's their target? What's their goal, though? Do they want to be in production by 2019, or what's the plan?
The optimistic plan is to have gold by sometime in 2018, the first half of 2018. I'd love it, but I don't know how quickly they can operate. They are moving very quickly right now. They're
yep.
not fooling around. But the other thing, Kai, is right now we're looking at a very small startup pit. The idea being, get things going slowly, then we're able to expand a little bit easier through the regulation process. If we tried to do something really big, really fast, it would add a couple of years. We might not have so much ease in getting our permits. So the point is to start slow and build it step by step.
Okay.
Okay, cool. One other question that just came to my mind is you have various other licenses that are open for new joint venture partners, right? That's what you indicated I think in one of the latest press releases, and also when we were chatting quickly in Toronto, yeah, that you're open for new business partners. So how do you select your business partners? So what would be like the parameters where you say, okay, that's an acceptable joint venture partner?
Well, in a perfect world, our partner would be a miner. Some entity that knows how to mine, has experience in mining, can build a mine. It's not a perfect world, so it doesn't always work that way. With Blackheath, because we're in the license they have earned into as a tungsten license, with them, they had a lot of experience previously in Portugal with tungsten.
Right.
And so even though they're not miners, they knew how to get to the mining stage because they'd done it before in Portugal. Our present partner at Antofagasta at Alvalade is looking to expand its presence in Spain and Portugal, and they wanted to give a shot to the Alvalade project to help enhance their standing in Portugal. And they're explorers. They do well on exploration. They're good fundraisers in the past. So this seemed to be able to be a good partnership when the Antofagasta team moved out. So we pick our partners to some extent by availability. Because it's a tough market right now. It hasn't been so easy. When it's a little bit better market, then I'm really looking for groups that can withstand up down cycles, who can build a mine. That's the obvious thing. It doesn't always work that way.
Right.
Now,
and no, go ahead, Kai. No, go ahead.
Are you receiving any management fees or any payments or in regard to the projects?
We received management fees for Alvalade for the time being, and we did for the Slovovo project until Burncut became the operator. We also, our geos get paid by the joint venture. Some of our overhead gets paid by the joint venture, whether or not there's a management fee. Blackheath deal did not have a management fee, but the accountant got paid some, I got paid a little bit, our management got paid as part of the team working the project. So some of the funds that we've raised, that Mark has raised in Canada, don't have to be going to salaries for the Avrupa management. Because they're part of the joint venture and working on the joint venture, part of the salaries get paid directly by the partner.
Yeah, and bringing up the financing, actually that's something for you, Mark, I guess. Paul mentioned that you get paid, or Avrupa gets paid for part of the overhead costs by some of your joint venture partners, and actually you just announced the financing for 1 million, which will probably, based on the business model, like this prospect generator business model, you don't have all these exploration costs. So this 1 million will take you, or like will carry you through at least a year, or what's the plan?
That is the plan. I mean, last year, about this same time, we raised $1 million as well. That lasted about a year. It probably isn't quite enough because we stretch things quite a bit. But we do that, and then we spend, a lot of our money goes to G&A that we raise publicly, but probably about 50% to G&A and 50% actually to finding new projects and for Paul and the team to look at,
right,
and advancing those early stage projects so we can actually get joint venture partners in. And then the big bulk of our exploration spending is all from the partners. And in the last 6 years, like I was saying earlier, we've had $15 million spent, and we've done on average about 2 drill programs a year. And that's a big deal for a junior resource company. A lot of companies don't get that. So the financing now, it'll be about the same thing. We hope it'll last us about a year. We'll see how it goes. We've got some big plans on things we want to do. And anytime we have big ideas and big plans, it always costs a little more money, so we spend a bit faster. But if those things work out, it's usually very, very good for the shareholders.
Okay. How do you feel the sentiment right now on raising capital? It has been almost impossible the last couple of years, but since a couple of months, let's say since PDAC, which usually is kind of the top of the year, it seems to be way better. Yeah, to me, I see a lot of placements, a lot of oversubscribed placements. So what's your feeling? Do you have any difficulties raising that for the money?
Well, Michael, as you know, we're a fairly conservative group. I always announce placements that we're very, very sure we can raise that money. And in the history of Avrupa, we have oversubscribed every single placement we've done. And that's a tribute to the results we've had from both Portugal and Kosovo. But right now, for the first time in probably 4 years, we announced the private placement, and usually people know that as a signal to stop taking calls from Mark Brown. But this time we've been getting a lot of inbound calls,
Okay.
and I've had groups coming in. Actually, matter of fact, we had somebody from Switzerland calling that I didn't know, we'd never met before. I don't think Paul knows him either. Looking to participate in our private placement. And so that's refreshing for us. And so we are getting good calls. People know what we've done. They know the success we've had. And they see the market turning, and that's a big deal. And I think gold, like you were saying earlier, is leading the way on all that. Although I got to say, zinc has jumped up quite a bit as well. It's over 90 cents now. And, we have a lot of zinc in southern Portugal.
Right. And like the new projects you mentioned, like you're looking for new fresh projects for Paul, right? So to do some exploration work. Will this be more the base metal sector or also the precious metal sector?
Both.
We're
I mean, Paul can answer.
Yeah, we're opportunists, Michael. Gold in Kosovo, base metals in Portugal. There are some possibilities for gold in other parts of Europe. Kosovo, I've got another license. Burncut is supporting me on that license right now, but I'm not sure they want to continue. Or they're just too busy with Slovovo. But I'm also looking for generative joint venture partners for Kosovo. We'd like to, when we get our guys back from the project, we'd like to go back out and find another one of these things. And so I'm looking around for other gold exploration companies to try to interest them into generative joint ventures for Kosovo. Portugal, the possibilities are pretty much copper and zinc. In southern Portugal, that's really the biggest of the target areas, we think. There's some other target areas in South Portugal that are potentially copper gold possibilities, and our Alvito project is a good example of that. It's not in the pyrite belt; it's in a belt north of the pyrite belt, and it's a copper gold target, and I'm running potential partners through that one. They're for joint venture, and so we're keeping things going right now slowly, but it's there's certainly a lot more interest in the joint venture side of things than there has been in the past year.
On the common theme with this stuff is that we're looking for really, really big projects, big targets. Elephant country. That's the kind of things we've been exploring for so far, and that's what we'll continue to look for.
Okay.
And Avrupa means Europe in Turkish, right? So the focus remains Europe and any geological or any areas of preference. And you mentioned Portugal and Kosovo, obviously, but there are projects in Spain and Northern Ireland as of recently. So
we're right now we're sticking to Portugal and Kosovo. Both countries are fairly easy to work at. Both are underexplored. Both have quite a bit of potential. And both have old mining districts, so it means we can find a lot of old data for pretty low cost. Spain, there's some possibilities in Spain. Right now, we've got our hands full in Portugal and Kosovo.
Okay. So do you want to move to some other slides in the presentation?
Yeah, let's go back a bit here and talk about Albalade for a sec here. I'm going to go right back to why we're in Portugal here, and Paul can explain this very well, and I'll pick up the pointer here on this slide. So this is southern Portugal here, and what a lot of people don't know who aren't geologists or not in the mining business is that this whole belt going right through here is called the Iberian Pyrite Belt, and it's literally been mined since the Roman times. Mining was a bit rougher in those days, and they used slaves, but they mined a lot of things that were sticking out of the ground. And a lot of those things were found, and as a result, you can see down here, there's more than 85 known deposits, and those are all fairly large deposits. You can see some of the active mines here. These stars are the active mines. Neves Corvo is owned by Lundin Mining. And we're right in this belt here on the Portuguese side. We believe the belt continues up through here towards Lisbon. Lisbon's just up here. And we've been exploring through this whole area right from the Spanish border all the way through. Paul and the team have picked up some great properties in there, and a couple of years ago we had Antofagasta was our partner in this area on what's called the Alvalade project, and we made a discovery there, and we advanced that discovery and actually came up with an area of copper, lead, zinc mineralization with a little bit of copper, a little bit of gold and silver also. Right in this area here, and what's significant about that is people ask, well, can you mine in southern Portugal? Well, look at all the mines around us. And this little dotted line here is a railway that was built to move the ore from Neves Corvo to Setúbal, which is where it's put on a ship. And we're within a stone's throw of that in some of the areas we've been drilling. And that discovery, I'm going to flip ahead here, is this Alvalade project. So this is very, very quick for exploration terms. 2012, we found a partner. They spent $4 million on the project. 2014, only 2 years later, the team made a fantastic discovery there, and I'll go over some of the drill results. We expanded it and kept drilling. 2015, Antofagasta was in the worldwide cutback, and they sold their interest, their 60% interest they had earned in so far, for $6 million to a company called Colt Resources. In 2016, Colt started funding another drill program. So let's go and look at some of those results here. On this hole SES002, it's one of the first holes we hit. We hit 10.5 meters there of 1.8% copper, 75 grams per ton silver, 2.5% lead, 4.3% zinc, and some tin and cobalt as well. And tin and cobalt is important because it's the same kind of things they have at the Neves Corvo mine. So it looks very similar to that. Now these are areas where, if you know southern Portugal, there's earthquakes and there's been a lot of faulting over the years. These things started on the seabed and were moved up onto the earth, the dry earth, and we've been drilling into it, and we've hit it in several more spots over the last few years. And the next thing coming up that we need to work on, which Paul and the group want to do in the next drill program, is of course to put these things together and see how big each individual lens of ore would be. But you can flip down here and look at this hole number 10. We hit almost 58 meters. This one had 0.4 gold in it, 25 grams silver. But we're really looking at the copper here, 0.3 copper, 0.6 lead, and 1.95% zinc. And those are similar grades to what you see in other deposits in the area. And we're going to, we've done a bunch more holes here. We hit another 51 meters. This was a hole we just announced earlier this year. 0.4% copper, 2% zinc, 0.4 grams gold. So we've got a lot of stuff going on here, and to me this is a really exciting time because we know we're kind of into something. The geologists have a lot to do, a lot of work to figure out, but as we keep drilling, we're not going to hit in every hole, but we'll have a series of good drill results coming up as we get back into drilling. We're not drilling right now, but we expect to be drilling later this year. So anyway, we've got a lot of excitement coming up in this project, and it over 1.8 kilometers shows you that it has the potential to be very, very large, and that's the kind of thing we're looking for.
Okay.
That's interestingly on that license. That's only a small part of the license that's been seriously worked on. We've made another discovery on the license. That's a stockwork vein rather than a massive sulfide deposit, but we haven't been able to get back to that area. Colt has been eager to work at the Sesmaria zone and try to expand that, but we've got another discovery and a lot of area on the license we haven't even touched yet. So the key here is the geology. You know, the team put together a really great geological story. We used a lot of old data. We relogged core. There was 55, 60,000 meters of core from previous projects stored around the country, and we relogged that stuff 2, 3, 4 times even. We went back and did geochemistry, we relied on a lot of old geophysics and put together a subsurface geology map that allowed us to make the Sesmarias discovery as quickly as we did. So we're keen. Our work is really geology, going out and finding things and doing the early work. This goes back to your early question about why does the partner become the operator? And again, it's a matter of expertise. We're good at exploration, we're good at finding things, but none of us in this company can go out there and do all the things you have to do to build a mine. And we don't want to get ahead of ourselves and try to do it ourselves. It's a big risky business, and our business model is to find a bunch of these things and spread the risk around, allowing our partners to spend the big bucks, and okay, they earn in a substantial portion of the project, 70, 75, 80, 85%. But in the end, if we have 4 or 5 of these things, and we're the 15% or the 20% owner of these things, we've spread the risk out quite a bit, and we have a chance of having income from a number of different sources.
Paul, is there, because you brought that up, is there like a minimum interest you are always going to keep on the projects, or?
It varies, Michael. We've made all of our deals in bad economic times, and in order to move things forward, we've had to accept deals that look bad to you guys, but the reality is they're good for us because they move us forward.
Okay.
Like I said a minute ago, I wouldn't mind being the 20% owner of 4 or 5 of these things, or the royalty owner of 4 or 5 of these things.
And I totally agree. Yeah? It's just that I guess some investors, and there's 2 types of investors. Some of them want to go kind of all in. Yeah, and let's say they want to go all in. They might be better off to directly invest into Blackheath or Colt, right? But if they want the protection of the diversification, right, which is very, very important in the mining sector, yeah, they should probably take a closer look at Avrupa. Is this how you can, or both, or own all of them, right? So is that kind of how you can summarize it?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, again, it varies. The deals that we made recently have been nuts, or trying to make recently, haven't been easy because nobody has any money and nobody's willing to spend a lot on things. I'm working on another one right now, which, if we can get it, will be worthwhile. But we're not going to end up as the 75% owner. We're likely to be the 25% owner. But you know what? If it succeeds, then we've got another potential source of income here. And our deals are all structured that there is a dilution clause in there that allows us to exit with a 2% NSR.
Oh.
So if we decide we don't want to be the 15% owner, it isn't worth it to us to raise the money. And I'm thinking of Slovovo here briefly. We're going to end up being the 15% owner of a small gold mine. Well, there's a lot of potential for it to become much larger. We think that that's a gold deposit sitting in a porphyry system. We don't know where the porphyry is, but there's a big system around there. And the question comes up, if we're the 15% owner, do we want to spend the millions and millions and millions to build a porphyry project, or do we want to be the 2% NSR holder for the rest of the life of the mine?
Okay, yeah, I get it.
Porphyries are expensive to drill out, so.
Yeah. Porphyries are expensive. They cost a lot of money, and if we've been diluted to a 2% NSR, good for us.
Okay, let me ask you another question. You're a pretty small team, right? How many projects can you handle? You already have a number of projects, but there has to be some kind of an upper limit. Like I guess you can't handle like hundreds of projects, right? So what do you assume?
Well, it's in Portugal. I think the max we can probably do in the south is 3 or 4. It's not a huge country, and we can. I've got a team when they're available that's mobile. We can work from project to project because the geology is pretty much the same. If we're working in Kosovo, we'll have a separate team over there. Can't possibly have one exploration person for all those different countries. So right now we're slim because our partners are not pushing right now with drill programs. but we can gear up to have 4 or 5 geos working on our projects in a matter of a few weeks if necessary.
Okay.
Because
Well, and
of
we're
pretty
also
much
the
the
operator of
same.
these projects early days when we're doing the exploration. But as we make these discoveries and stuff, quite often the partners, when they earn in, want to take over. So at that point, we're just oversight on the projects, and we can get on to new things as well. So, for example, in Kosovo, our joint venture partner is now the operator. So we're still there on the ground, and we've got people there, but they're running the show, so it frees up some of our guys.
Right. Okay.
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 So what's the next slide? What are the next steps for Avrupa here? You're raising the money.
Yeah, well, that's what people want to know. What's exciting and what's coming up. And on Alvalade, we've got potential for more drilling to be funded by Coal Tier coming up. We did the gold resource on Slovovo, and we're working on the PFS there now. So that's interesting. Paul and his team are also looking at some new projects like we talked about in new areas, but those might be early stage. But Paul and his team have also been hosting some other groups visiting current projects that we have there in Portugal. And what's exciting for us is to get another potential joint venture and have even more work going on. So, we have 3 active projects going on right now, and there's steady news flow coming out of those. And you never know what that can be, but hopefully it's exciting coming up, especially when we get drilling going on. But one of our goals is to add another joint venture this year. The company's actually only 6 years old, and we've had 6 joint venture partners over the years, 3 of which are currently present and active and earning interests and working towards actually, some kind of a 43101 compliant resource estimate if it's not there already. But we'd like to add at least 1 new joint venture this year. We don't know when that'll come, but we'll be excited about that. And often when these things happen, the initial exploration is exciting. And these projects we're showing to people are drill ready. So we always try and get, there's usually a little bit of initial kind of on the ground exploration work to be done, and then we get right into drilling on these projects. So, that's what we're trying to do this year, and we're feeling good about it right now. Paul, I don't know if you have any other comments on that.
No, that's my job after the financing is to work on getting another joint venture going.
What are the lease costs? I saw you have quite a bunch of projects in Portugal. What are the yearly lease costs and not G&A, but project maintenance costs, I'd say?
Well, the Portuguese government requires a guarantee on the license, which is to be honest with you, a painful misuse of money. Basically, they want to make sure we're doing our work and hold a bond basically for the life of the exploration license.
Let's be clear on that. That's not an environmental bond. It's actually a bond to make sure we do lots of work. And that's one of the ways they're really trying to encourage more exploration there.
How do they encourage that way? You have to pay into a bond. They hold the money hostage so that you work for it to get it back.
That's right. And I'm not saying it's not a very great way to do it, but it's not like it's an environmental bond, like where your money just sits there while you have the project until you clean up. It's actually a bond to make sure you do the exploration you promised to do.
And you pay the exploration from the bond, or how does it work?
No.
The bond just sits there. We spend separate money on the project.
Okay.
Yeah, the bond.
And then we get it back when we're done.
If we've completed our work commitments and dropped the license, or we dropped the license because of lack of potential, the government is supposed to send us the money back. However, it's dead money for the life of the license.
How much are we talking about?
It can be up as high as 75,000 euros for Alvalade and 25,000 for smaller license. The yearly rental fees. There is a yearly rental fee, and that varies again from 12,500 to 30,000 per year. Alvalade is 30,000, and Alvinto is 12,500. Bertola maybe even 15,000 or 10,000, and Maritek is 15,000. So it's not a lot, but it's money that.
No, it also adds up, right?
So. Yeah, it keeps us from expanding too fast. On the other hand, we've got to have some licenses, so it is a necessary cost.
And it's largely funded by our partners as well.
Right.
Yeah.
So.
Okay.
As it should. So.
Yeah. Other than that, then, you know, if we're still operating the license 100% and we're trying to dress it up, then we do have geological costs, but all of our South Portuguese licenses are ready for joint venture right now. We don't want to spend too much, if any, more money on any of them, other than, you know, just getting the potential partners to come out and have a look.
Okay.
Kosovo is pretty much the same thing without the guarantee. There you have an annual work commitment which you have to fulfill, and you know, you claim your license. You pick I guess you're only allowed 50 square kilometers total in Kosovo, but you pick your areas and you make an application for it, and if the government accepts it, then you can start working within 3 months. Portugal's a little bit slower. It takes about a year to get a license because they go through a whole bunch of different things. But if you understand the system, then it works out pretty well.
Okay.
Yeah. Do you want to move forward to some other slides, which we haven't touched on right now?
Yeah, I mean, we can talk about the tungsten project with Blackheath. Again, you know, we've got a 43101 resource there that's a nice grade of tungsten. It's a small project for us, but the way that the joint venture has been managed and moved ahead, and our partner's been excellent. It's just another value add for our company that we've got yet another 43101 compliant, you know, resource estimate there for tungsten. And the price of tungsten's been following steel and iron ore. It's come down quite a bit, but it's starting to come back nicely now, so that's quite good. And our partner there, Blackheath, has some significant Chinese shareholders which are very interested in tungsten. So they're managing that process, and we'll see what's going to happen. But you know, that group is our partner because they discovered and built a company called Primary Metals that was tungsten in northern Portugal before and sold out in a better market. So we're kind of letting them run that, and we're happy to do that. It's run by a very good team over there at Blackheath.
Yeah. No, Kai and myself, we know Jim pretty close, and I guess we have all the respect and give him a lot of credits. Yeah, Primary Metals was a good success for some of the German shareholders that have been involved at that point in time. So he has a good track record, and I have no worries at all about Blackheath.
Yep.
They've done very well.
Partners. Jim and Alex have been good guys to work with.
You know, I didn't want to go through all of our people here, but I just want to point out a couple of people on this list here, particularly on this next slide here. Paul Nellis, who's one of our directors, is one of our German directors, is a mining engineer with a lifetime of experience, and he's been fantastic to work with. But the reason he was so key for us is because when Kosovo was just set up by the United Nations, he was one of the people they asked to step in and run some of the industries there. I think they thought mining first, but he ended up running, you know, the banking industry and the airport and the power at different times and overseeing these industries. And the Kosovo government's now taken over those things and running them themselves. But Paul's a key guy for us to have there. He's very well connected, knows the country, knows the culture. It's very important to us to have him there as a key guy, and he's also a mining engineer. And the same with, just going down here, Adriano Barros, who again is our key guy in Portugal. As you can tell, Paul Kuhn is not exactly Portuguese, neither am I. But Adriano is the guy who, again, has a lifetime of experience in Portugal, and he knows the area. He's worked at a lot of the mines there. He's like a small businessman now, oversees the industry, but he's a great asset for us to have. Helps us negotiate, keeps the cultural issues under control from our point of view that we know we have to work with over there. Explains it to us, so we make sure we're taking the right steps with the communities and things like that. And again, he's our local guy on the ground there. So those are our two kind of country guys, which is pretty important for us to have in these areas.
Okay.
This slide is just a bit of a summary of what we're doing in the next year here. And it looks a bit busy. There's a lot of things going on in our company, and there always has been. We're an active group. We've got this financing going on now, and it'll be done shortly here. And we've got a lot of things we want to do. So there's work going on at the Kovish Tungsten project, upgrade it a little bit more environmental work. We're looking for new joint venture partners. Colt Resources completed a financing a little while ago, and they've got big plans to do different things, and we'll see what happens there. But they sure talk big when it comes to our Valade project and what the kind of work they want to do there, and we'll see what happens coming up in the next few months here. And this pre-feasibility study at Slavovo is it's going to be interesting, because I think what you'll find there, Kosovo has 46% unemployment, labor is relatively cheap, they really need mines there. I think what we'll find there is that the government's going to really be encouraging us to get that mine into production, and we'll be able to do it at a fairly low cost. So we'll see what those numbers come in at, maybe by the end of this year or early next year. And then we do have some very exciting ideas. We're not talking about too much. Things we've actually been working on for a couple of years, properties we'd like to pick up. And we've had people go visit them from us, and we've actually even had some potential joint venture partners go visit new projects. Because what we do, and one of the strategies is when we acquire new projects, is to kind of have them ready to go, as we say, teed up for potential joint venture partners. And if that's the case, then we can get a joint venture on those things fairly quickly. So we take our time, look at these things, do a lot of the groundwork that is required to make these properties attractive for joint venture partners. And then we kind of say, hey, would you guys be interested in something like this in this kind of a country? It helps us to understand the laws of local countries, particularly the exploration laws and the ownership. And it's really important for us to do that. So that's kind of ongoing, and that will be ongoing all the time in the life of Avrupa. So there's a lot of things coming up. We'll have steady news flow over the next a year at least, with all the things we have going on. And one of the real value adds for the shareholders is drilling, and we hope to be drilling at Valade later on, and then hopefully at one of our current projects when we bring in a new joint venture partner, hopefully sometime before the end of the year. But we'll see how that goes.
Okay.
Since you have it on the slide, I have to ask, what are you doing in Germany? Why are you doing it, and what's the end game?
Well, we've had this license for 3 years now, and the reason we picked it up was because nobody had ever explored it for gold. And it was the same kind of geology as northern Portugal is. There was a history of tin mining, tungsten a little bit, uranium, all sorts of base metals in the Erzgebirge. And I wanted to give gold in Eastern Germany a possibility. So we picked up the license. We've done a bit of work in the beginning, the first year or so. We identified some areas where there were significant gold anomalies. We discovered what looks to be a tin skarn in the southern part of the property, and then we just haven't spent much time on it since then. We are going to have a look at it this year. The license has been renewed, but we've got to do some work on it, either get going on it or move on.
Okay, what's the permitting like in Germany? Like, what does it look like? How does the lease work?
Well,
I'm based in Germany, and I have to admit, I haven't really come across a project in Germany. So
Germany's actually quite a bit going on in Germany right now. In the copper belt that runs into Poland, there's a bit of activity. There's a number of areas in eastern and southern Germany that seem to be interesting right now, and in the old Harz Mountains areas, people have continued to be looking around. But in this case, our partner is a German company based in Freiburg. They do all the licensing, all the government liaisons, and they're a geological consulting company. So we relied on them in the beginning and earned into 85% of the license, and now we have to basically get going or not. And they've got some ideas. They're more interested in tin than in gold.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, there seem to be some tin possibilities. And when I get questions about the license, it's usually tin rather than the gold.
Okay. So this has been going, we've been talking for over an hour now. So I think, not to lose our audience here, I think we should put a nice little bow around it, or you actually have already with this final slide. I'd call it, share structure. Oh, that's a good one actually to wrap things up, because we haven't
There you go. That's our final
talked
slide.
about that one yet. Yeah, perfect. Just Mark.
I mean, basically, share structure is really important to us, and the reason it is because it gives more volatility to the stock. So after the financing, we'll have actually 65 million shares outstanding, but there's a group that own about 50% of those that are long-term holders, and it's really important. We've got some warrants coming up in September. We expect to get exercised. That'll bring in some more funding for us. But really important is this. The partner, we've raised more funding from partners than we have from the stock market, which I don't think there's any companies that can actually say that other than us. I'd have to do some research on that. We've also signed one joint venture every year in the life of our company. That's pretty fantastic, and they've spent significant amounts. I mean, there's been some smaller numbers here, but Callanan only spent that much, but they also invested even more, about $500,000 into the company. We had Lowell Copper in for a short period before they kind of ran out of money, and that was supposed to be part of a bigger work program on this Alvido project. So we've got some great projects in great areas. We're looking for very large deposits, and a lot of our funding is designed to protect the investment made by our shareholders. So that's kind of key for us. I mean, we're big shareholders. Between Paul and I and the management group, we own over 15% of the company. So that's really important to us, and we protect our shareholders. We try to bring in long-term shareholders, and we bring in a lot of funding to mitigate our risk from our partners. So I think that's a great point to end on. And what's going to make the difference for the shareholders? Obviously, a big discovery, and we've been scratching the surface on a few really nice discoveries, but we've got more to come, and we're working in areas that have potential for very, very large mines.
Perfect.
Okay, guys, I think that was a good summary. The share structure looks very, very good. And if I do the math, you've spent probably 15 cents, right, per share, or your joint venture partners. Even a little bit more, But on a fully diluted base, right? So let's say it's 100 million shares. 15 million, so that's 15 cents. And the stock, I'm not sure about the trading today, but yesterday was around the 10-cent level, right? That's exactly where the placement is. So to me, just to summarize it from my end, I really like this kind of mellow approach, right? It's not all, and Kai and myself, we are talking to a lot of companies that are only promising blue sky, right? I think you guys, with your mellow approach, with your ability to raise money on the one hand, which is important, but also to find and value really good projects, based on Paul's experience and the team. The stock has not yet picked up, right? It's still steady, a low volatility, which is good and bad. But I agree. As soon as you come up with some more milestones, which is a new joint venture partner, drill results, the stock should be way higher than it is right now. Just my full disclaimer: I'm biased, right? I'm working together with Avrupa on various levels on a consulting agreement. But again, that's still, me. Even if I'm biased, that's my true feelings. I believe that if you invest into Avrupa right now at this 10 cent, 12 cent level, you will have a pretty good reward, mid to long term. And maybe Kai, if you want to sum up in English, we will do the German one later on.
I think it's a good overview. Avrupa delivers quite a bit of leverage, especially towards the copper price. Copper's price has been depressed. It came down as of late again. Based on the China worries here, but I think they're unbased, or at least not as traumatic as everybody pretends to be. So I think there's a nice upside here to the story, especially Kosovo. I personally like quite a bit. I hope you maintain sort of your pro rata at first, and depending what the numbers look like of the pre-feasibility study, and see how you can participate, not just with a 2% royalty. Other than that, I think Portugal looks interesting. Let's see what Colt comes up with, or actually what you come up with for Colt over the next 6 months. I'm hoping you start to drill soon, to use this summer and deliver some results when everybody's back at their desk in September after Labor Day. in the U.S. and in Canada, obviously. So, I like the story. I've been following Paul and Mark for a while with Avrupa. I think they're doing a great job making sure that the shareholder value is increased on a constant basis, and I continue to watch the story. So. Keep me in the loop, guys.
Perfect. And I urge you to take a look at the website. It's avrupaminerals.com. And yeah, Mark Brown, you can see his contact data here. He's available, I guess, if you have any questions. So for now, Paul, Mark, Kai, thank you so much for taking the time. Yeah, it was a really interesting, in detail presentation, and I'm going to update my viewers and my readers on a constant basis about the developments. So for now, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Ja, so, jetzt sind wir die Kanadier losgeworden. Es war ein bisschen chaotisch leider, ja, weil der Paul ist gerade von irgendeiner Reise zurückgekommen und der Mark hat das noch nie gemacht mit seiner Webcam und deswegen haben wir ein paar Soundprobleme und ähnliches. Das werde ich auch nicht mehr hier, egal wie ich das hier nachbearbeite, rausbekommen. Aber nichtsdestotrotz, ja, also ich glaube, dass wir wirklich mit der Avrupa eine sehr, sehr gute Story, sehr, sehr gutes Unternehmen gefunden haben, was auf der einen Seite durch die Diversifikation und durch das Businessmodell, ja, dieses Prospect Generator, ja, mit Fokus auf Europa, dass wir da auch eine sehr gute Risikostreuung haben. Man hat, das ist, glaube ich, unbestritten, eine sehr gute Expertise. Man fokussiert sich auch ganz klar auf die Identifikation, Exploration, sucht sich dann einen geeigneten Joint Venture Partner mit dem Ziel, dass auch der Joint Venture Partner dann die Operation übernimmt, was nicht in allen Fällen immer funktioniert. Ja, beim Kosovo-Projekt funktioniert das. Burncut hat jetzt da die Operation übernommen, also ist der Operator auf dem Projekt. Und ganz lustig, und das haben wir gerade neu gelernt, ja, also Burncut scheint irgendwie eine Tochtergesellschaft, eine Gesellschaft aus dem Thyssen-Konzern zu sein. Ja, das war mir auch neu. Kai, du wusstest das, glaube ich, auch nicht, ne?
Nee, war mir neu.
Gut. Ja. Die anderen beiden Joint Venture Partner, also Cold Resources und Blackheath, die kennen Sie vielleicht, wenn Sie sich mit dem Rohstoffmarkt schon ein bisschen länger befassen. Cold hatte so ein paar Ups und Downs. Blackheath ist ja eine der Company oder ist die Company von dem Jim Robertson. Der Jim Robertson hat damals die Primary Metals mit begründet gehabt und die wurde ja damals übernommen. Ich weiß gar nicht mehr von wem, aber jedenfalls war das ein sehr, sehr guter, auch kursmäßig ein sehr guter Erfolg für die Aktionäre. Also man sucht sich da auch wirklich ganz gute Partner raus. Was auch noch wichtig ist aus meiner Sicht, also die Joint Venture Partner haben jetzt 15 Millionen schon in die Projekte investiert, also all in. Das sind, weil, also wir haben jetzt aktuell, hat er gesagt, ich glaube 55 Millionen Aktien ausstehend, dann kommen jetzt noch 10 Millionen aus dem aktuellen Placement dazu, dann sind wir bei 65 Millionen und dann gibt es natürlich immer noch Warrants und irgendwas, also rechnen wir mal rund, die haben 100 Millionen Aktien ausstehend, 15 Millionen investiert, das heißt, man hat 15 Cent, kanadische Cent, pro Aktie investiert. Ja. Per gestern, wie gesagt, per heute weiß ich nicht, stand die Aktie bei 10 Cent. Das ist auch genau das Niveau und das hatte ich auch erwartet, nachdem man das Placement verkündet hat. Ja, ist es ja leider oftmals so, dass man auf den Placement-Preis zurückfällt, was jetzt, sag ich mal, normal ist. Ja. Das ist jetzt nicht unbedingt ein schlechtes Zeichen. Und ja, also 15 Cent hat man investiert. Das ist eigentlich der innere Wert der Aktie. Ja, und dann hat man dazu dann später auch noch die Million Cash. Mit der Million Cash kommt man ungefähr, hat er gesagt, ein Jahr lang hin, weil man halt keine hohe Burn-Rate hat, anders als viele andere der Explorationsgesellschaften. Also mir gefällt die Aktie, muss ich ehrlich sagen. Ja, wir haben gewisse Hebel zu den Rohstoffen. Ja, wir haben auf der anderen Seite halt eine Diversifizierung im Risiko. Ich finde es gut. Ich finde einfach die Jungs auch klasse. Ja, ich habe die jetzt auch ein paar Mal schon gesehen. Die erzählen auch immer wesentlich weniger, als sie dann eigentlich machen, was auch sehr ungewöhnlich ist in Kanada. Ja, normalerweise wird ja immer sehr viel mehr gesprochen, als dann später leider auch eingehalten. Und das ist aber ja auch der Job von Leuten wie dem Kai Hoffman mit dem Investor-Magazin oder auch mir oder auch anderen, den Joe Brunner, ja, da halt so ein bisschen die Spreu vom Weizen zu trennen, ja, weil, ja, schauen Sie sich, ich habe ja letztes Mal ein Video gemacht über Newsletter-Promotion, ja, wo halt wirklich viel Geld ausgegeben wird in Promotion hier in Deutschland und da werden halt teilweise halt, nicht immer, aber teilweise halt Buden durchs Dorf getrieben, die sind halt aus meiner Sicht zweifelhaft. Also immer vorsichtig sein. Ich denke mal, der Kai, ich, der Joe, wir haben da alle so ein oder auch der Hannes Huster vom Gold Report, wir haben alle so ein gemeinsames Verständnis. Auch wir liegen nicht immer richtig. Ja, ich habe auch in meiner Watchliste, das ist, weißt du gar nicht, wie es bei dir aussieht, Kai, aber ich habe da auch ein paar Loser drin. Ja, insbesondere, wenn ich die halt so in 2013, 2014 aufgenommen habe, dann haben sie sich nicht mehr so gut entwickelt. Alles, was jetzt so neu aufgenommen wurde, seit Ende letzten Jahres, ist eigentlich sehr gut im Plus. Aber wie gesagt, schauen Sie sich die Avrupa gerne nochmal an. Ich halte sie auf dem Laufenden. Und Kai, jetzt habe ich wie wie es sich für einen Kölner gehört, natürlich viel erzählt, aber die letzten
Hast du
Worte,
noch ganze 5 Sekunden übrig?
ja,
gelassen,
letzte
glaub
Worte
ich.
sind an dich.
Nee, du hast das eigentlich super zusammengefasst. Also, schöner Hebel drauf, insbesondere auf Kupfer. Das hatte ich auch am Ende des Dialogs mit den Herren erwähnt. Ich kenne die schon sehr, sehr lange. Also ich glaube, Paul kenne ich seit 3 Jahren, Mark kenne ich seit 2 Jahren auch etwas besser. Wir treffen uns eigentlich regelmäßig in Vancouver auf dem Kaffee, wenn ich dort bin, und tauschen uns aus, weil Mark ist ja auch, weiß nicht, ob Sie das wissen, auch bei 1, 2 anderen Gesellschaften noch mit an Bord im Aufsichtsrat. Dadurch gibt es immer mal wieder Überschneidungen oder mal interessante Themen, über die man da diskutieren kann, zumal man auch viele derselben Leute in Vancouver einfach kennt. Nee, super geführtes Unternehmen. Ich glaube, die haben die richtigen Partner. Ich bin froh, dass es da weitergeht, dass hier gebohrt wird, dass wir hier auf Ergebnisse blicken können. Schade, dass man so ein bisschen bei Slivevo das Zepter aus der Hand gegeben hat, indem er sich durch den Joint Venture Vertrag natürlich halt ein bisschen die Butter vom Brot hat nehmen lassen. Meiner Meinung nach. Ich glaube, das sah ganz vielversprechend aus. Aber andererseits, man ist kein Minenbauer, man ist ein Explorer. Ich glaube, dann ist das auch ganz gut und wird dadurch partizipieren am Erfolg von dem Projekt, wo ich doch glaube, also nachdem ich die ersten Zahlen gesehen habe, dass das ganz vielversprechend aussieht. Wie gesagt, Portugal ist eigentlich auch ganz spannend, da gibt es ein paar gute Minen, wie gesagt, wenn Landin Mining da unten ist. Ich habe gesehen, dass da unten Los Cruces noch unterwegs ist, das ist ein ehemaliges Inmet-Projekt gewesen, die dann von First Quantum von kurzem übernommen wurden. Also in dem Gürtel ist einiges los. Auch obwohl es Europa ist, gibt es hier Minen. Deutschland, das muss ich noch erwähnen, bin ich etwas skeptisch, ob man hier wirklich auch einen Joint Venture Partner anziehen kann. Das ist persönliche Skepsis, weil einfach in Deutschland will ich mich mit politischen Behörden einfach nicht auseinandersetzen, die vor allem politisch geführt sind. Da werden einfach andere Interessen vertreten, als das vielleicht auch in Kanada der Fall ist. Insbesondere, weil wir nicht auf die Jobs aus der Mining-Branche angewiesen sind, weil das nicht unser Hauptbeitrag zum BIP liefert in Deutschland. Ansonsten abonnieren Sie das Investor-Magazin.
Wollte ich gerade sagen, also wir freuen uns, wenn das Ihnen hier gefallen hat, ja, wenn Sie den YouTube-Channel hier, wo Sie es gerade sehen, abonnieren, B, auf investormagazin.de und stock-telegraph.com, ich verlinke das aber auch hier unten nochmal, beziehungsweise schreibe das hier in das Video rein, den kostenlosen Newsletter abonnieren. Wir sind auch beide aktiv auf Facebook, ja, mit verschiedenen Seiten, mit Fanseiten. Die ganzen Links finden Sie aber entweder... Fanseiten. Twitter habe ich auch noch, also alles so Social Media. Aber wichtig wäre halt der Newsletter, weil da kriegen Sie wirklich auch alle Informationen mit. Beim Investor-Magazin gibt es so ein schönes PDF-Magazin, ja, das kommt auch regelmäßig im Gegensatz zu meinem Zeug. Ja, ich schreibe ja immer, wenn ich so lustig bin. Aber so ist halt jeder ein bisschen anders, hat einen anderen Ansatz. Deswegen meine Empfehlung, einfach beides abonnieren. Ja, und in diesem Sinne, Kai, dir nochmal vielen Dank, dass du dir die Zeit genommen hast.
Gerne.
Und ja, ich würde sagen, im Sinne von Avrupa drücken wir jetzt gleich mal Portugal die Daumen, dass sie Island schlagen. Und weil ich auch eine Wette darauf platziert habe, ich kann dann von meinen Aktiengewinnen nicht leben, deswegen muss ich noch Sportwetten machen. Also in diesem Sinne wünsche ich Ihnen einen schönen Abend, vielen Dank und bis zum nächsten Mal.
Ciao.